It's another baking video. I don't know why I do this to myself. We're gonna start off the year with the first dessert that we're gonna make and make something quite special to me and my family. My wife absolutely loves a pavlova, being from Australia. It's also very popular in New Zealand. One of the reasons why I don't bake is because most of the recipes that you'll find online, a lot of the times are made in different environments, and the weather, the humidity, the temperature, all these things really do cause slight differences in terms of how your cakes or your breads rise and stuff like that. We're gonna start by making a meringue, which is really quite simple. 6 egg whites. Once those are cracked and separated, a lot of people will actually add the sugar to this mix, but I'll stick to the egg whites first. One tip I have for you when making a meringue is make sure your bowl is very clean. Acidity is super key. A lot of people use white vinegar. I like using lemon juice because it doesn't give much flavor to the overall dish. So what I'm gonna do is just split this in half. Super simple. And just like how Argentinians would wash their grills, we do the same thing with the bowl. And this will just make sure that this bowl is completely clean. Okay, egg whites go in. Medium speed now. What we're looking for are those big bubbles. Caster sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time. Once all your sugar is in and you kind of have these beautiful peaks like this, we're ready to actually finish the meringue base. All we need to do is add in 2 teaspoons of lemon juice and then 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. About half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. All right, everything looks good. You should see kind of like how soft and stiff it is at the same time, which is exactly what we wanted. I'll show you how to kind of just arrange it first. I drew a little circle here. That's about 22 centimeters from point to point. So we're gonna go ahead and spoon this whole mix out. Put that right there on the bullseye. Obviously, this is just a guiding shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and pile it high in the middle. We can go ahead and start shaping it. So really simple, flatten it first a little bit, and you just really want to fill out that circle. Once you have that circular shape, we can go ahead and flush the sides a little bit. We're now gonna make a little well in the middle, and that's done by just making sure there's a dent there so that the fruits can actually sit right there in the middle. And if you want to be fancy about it, you can do some sort of design, like you can kind of come up here and then just go up so you have like a little crown design as it puffs up. All that goes into the oven at 100, I'm confused about centigrades. Goes into the oven at, I didn't even write it here. Yes, 100 centigrade, 130 centigrade. And that goes in there for about 1 hour and 5 minutes, at which point we turn off the oven, we don't touch anything, and we leave it in the oven cooling down for about 2, 3, 4 hours, or even overnight if you want to. We're just gonna do 2 hours and see how it comes together. Letting it cool down in that environment, I have found actually just gives you a better end product. In we go. While that's finishing off, it's super important to keep in mind when you're baking these recipes, as I mentioned earlier, things like the environment and temperature do play a huge role in there. I actually like having a cool to cold environment with no wind whatsoever when I'm making delicate desserts. So I was happy when Samsung actually came in and helped us build this office, and we use these wind-free air conditioning units, which are absolutely beautiful. You don't feel any air, and I'll show you exactly how that works. The Samsung Wind-Free AC has a Wi-Fi control functionality. Even when I'm outside the office, I can schedule my aircon's timer and control the temperature with the SmartThings app on my phone. The AC also has a wind-free cooling mode, which provides a comfortable room temperature without harsh airflow. It runs like a normal AC, but when it gets too cold, the wind-free mode kicks in to create your ideal environment. So we are at about 3 hours and a half in, so that's 1 hour of cook time, and that's about 2 hours and 30 minutes of rest time. You can keep the cake longer, but we're gonna take it out now and just top it off. So our little crown worked. I don't have a cake stand, so we're improvising with just a bowl and a plate. And we're gonna go ahead and just take this off. Try not to break it. Don't worry if it's like cracked and brittle and everything. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now to top it, very simple. We're gonna start first and foremost with some whipped cream. As promised, we're making this using tropical fruit. Some beautifully sliced mangoes. So you don't really need to add sweetness at this point because the meringue is already quite sweet. So here we're just wanting to add a balance of acidity, of fruits that kind of have that bite to them. This is why citrus and passion fruit and mangoes are really popular. But I also wanted to bring a little bit of the Philippines in there, so we're gonna go ahead and take some of the coconut meat from a fresh coconut. And then finally, a little bit of passion fruit. And there you have a really kind of simple, beautiful pavlova made using local ingredients. All right, time to cut it. I always get really sad when we have to destroy these things. So, word to the wise, obviously this will kind of gotta go all over the place. Don't call it out for being like messy, but it's really a pavlova, you know, it'll be brittle, it'll break out, and that's the beauty of it. So, all that to say, let's do it.
Back in town, it's been a long time since you've been around. Remember when we used to.
All right, so what's important to note here, if you see the different layers that are here, so obviously this is the cream, and then right underneath here, it looks like cream, but it's not, and it actually feels like a marshmallow, and that's the meringue, but you still have that crunchy crust, which is kind of like the perfect combination that we were looking for. So let's taste it. So I'm looking for texture, softness, sweetness, acidity from the fruits. Very tasty, not too sweet, which I like. I thought the 350 grams of sugar would be a bit too much, but it actually comes off really kind of light and airy. This is why it's such a favorite in those countries like Australia or New Zealand, because it can get quite hot sometimes there during the summer. And so a nice light, airy dessert makes a lot of sense. I think we can call it and say that this was actually a success. Not the hardest thing to do, just patience. Follow the recipe and you'll get there in the end. So try it out. If you guys like the video and like the recipe, do it at home, send me some pictures. I'll repost them and everything. And thanks for watching again, and see you guys soon. If you want to see other recipes that I haven't tried before, let me know and we will go ahead and try them just for you.
If you want, I'll come back again. I know I changed my mind too many times. If I say that I still love you, babe.